But first, today is Selection Sunday. The stage is set for the rest of March. Andrew, do you have any problems with what the committee decided for this bracket?
Yeah, so I think the one glaring one and the one that everyone's kind of jumping all over and the one that I will continue to jump all over is UNC being in the bracket. Obviously, they were the last team in. There's a little bit of conflicting reports on how much influence that the head overseer of brackets, who's also the AD at UNC, had like over just them getting in general. But UNC just wasn't a very good team this year. That speaks for like all of the ACC. Obviously, we harped on that last episode. But UNC was 1-12 in quad one games. They were just like had a very up and down season. They lost to Duke 3 times, which doesn't happen very often for a UNC team. They lost to Duke without Cooper Flag, no less, in the ACC championship. And you can say whatever you want about the lane violation, but they shouldn't have. That game wasn't a game until they brought it back, and there's no way that a Duke team missing 2 of its best players should be able to beat up on a UNC team that should be making the tournament, or whatever you want to say about that team. So just in general, UNC probably wasn't deserving of a spot in the tournament this year, and there's 68 teams, so there's always a little bit of leeway. Not every time you're going to get it exactly right, but they probably should have been one of the first 4 out. And the fact that they were the last team in, and there was a little bit of a sway that people were saying, I think it's just a little insane. 1-12 in quad one shouldn't really get you anywhere. So I mean, that's my personal take on it.
Yeah, I'm actually glad that you mentioned the 1-12 in quad one games. Indiana 4-13 versus quad one. West Virginia 6-10 versus quad one. Ohio State 6-11 versus quad one. Obviously, all of those are better than what UNC had. According to the committee, North Carolina was officially the last team in the field, as you mentioned, on the latest bracket matrix featuring 111 bracketologists. West Virginia was in all 111 brackets. Indiana was in 90, Texas in 50, Xavier in 30, North Carolina in 27, for what it's worth, right? So we're in agreement there. I think the other issue that I had with the bracket was Louisville. They, in my opinion, were ranked just too low, or seated too low, rather, at seeded 8 in their part of the bracket. Seed of the last AP number 13 teams entering Selection Sunday. Number 3 for Illinois in 2024, 4 for Virginia in 23, 4 for UCLA in 22, 3 Texas 21. And then I think you kind of get the point. Nobody lower than 5 over the last 13 years, going all the way back to Georgetown, who was seeded number 3 when they were the AP number 13 team entering Selection Sunday. So I just think that I don't know what happened with the ACC whenever it came to North Carolina sneaking in, but also at the same time, the Cardinal suffered an unfortunate seeding, in my opinion, because now they're going to draw 1 seed in the second round potentially of the tournament if they make it that far.
Yeah, and it's not like they did anything wrong. They beat Clemson in the ACC tournament. They lost against Duke, but Duke is the best team in that conference. Obviously, I just mentioned UNC. I gave UNC a little bit of flack for losing to Duke without Cooper Flag, so they deserve a little bit as well. But I mean, they just beat the number 10 team in the country in Clemson. They had a good ACC tournament. Obviously, the Stanford game wasn't probably shouldn't have been as close as it was, but still, Louisville shouldn't. I feel like it's pretty consensus that Louisville shouldn't have to play the number 1 seed in their portion of the bracket in the second round. So just unfortunate for them. Definitely unfortunate luck of the draw for them.
And same thing for Auburn too, right? Because we're thinking that Louisville is definitely better than an 8 seed, and now they will have to go play an 8 seed that could potentially have been a 4 seed somewhere at any other part of this bracket, or maybe in a later round for them. So it works both ways, right? At the same time, when we're talking about the ACC, maybe potentially getting a team in that shouldn't have been in, and then another team that was ranked too low. Same thing for Auburn having to play Louisville, just as Louisville doesn't want to play Auburn in the second round. So round of 32 matchup that potentially neither team would have liked to draw, but it's just the reality of it. Okay.